So let's just talk a little bit about transversals, which we did yesterday. Just remind ourselves of a few things and a few of those names. You don't need to take notes today. Let's start by looking at vertically opposite angles. Okay, they are angles that form an X shape. So we're looking for an X if you want a letter to go with it. And they will be the same size. They are vertically opposite each other. They're looking at each other here. And that's an example in the diagram. So anywhere you see that in a line diagram, those two angles are the same. Okay. Another one we looked at is alternate. Okay. So this is going back to our transversal. Now the transversal doesn't have to always have the parallel lines going this way. The parallel lines can be going vertically as well, but it's just any line that goes through two parallel lines. Transversal. So alternate form the Z shape if you're looking for a Z shape, especially the interior alternate. So if you look at that Z shape there, I've kind of sketched. Alternate angles are inside there. No, don't need to take notes today. We have these already. All these are alternate angles. Another set would be here and here. They're the interior, so interior are in here. So these ones I've marked are these ones. They're the same as well. And then there's exterior, which are outside the parallel lines. So these parallel lines go on forever, and if you think about it, inside them are called the interior. So the exterior alternate angles then, I kind of don't really form the Z anymore, but just think alternate sides of this transversal. So this is here, and its buddy would be up here on the other side of the line on the top set of angles. So they are alternate angles, and they are the same size once you have alternate sides of that line. Another one we were looking at is co-interior angles. That's, you're looking for the letter C there. So this once again, we draw a little sketch. So you're looking for, they're on the same side. So think the same side. They share the same side. So this one and this one, they are interior as well. So remember, going back to this, interior means between the two parallel lines. So interior. And these two add to 180 together. You can see one of them is acute and one of them is obtuse. So they add to 180. Okay, there are co-exterior angles, and they would also add to 180. So this one's buddy would be this one, but that's rarely asked. So co-interior are the only ones that add to 180. All the other ones will be the same size. The last one, corresponding. Sometimes they use the letter F for that. It's not really an overly useful letter for this one. As you can see, I'll just highlight these. The other letters make a lot more sense. This is an X. This forms a Z shape. This forms a C. And this one we're looking for an F, but it's kind of weird because like this angle is the same as this angle, so that's why they can use an F. You can see the F kind of shape there if you want to use a letter. Looking for that F shape. This angle will be the same as this angle, same position. Bottom right of this X and bottom right of this X are the same. Bottom left will also be the same as bottom left. Top left will be the same as top left. So all those angles are the same. This angle is the same as this angle. So they're all the same. They correspond to the same position. Okay. So they are the four new words that we came up with yesterday. Remember that this line that goes through, so these are the same size as well before I just say, the line that goes through the two parallel lines, that's a transversal. Okay. So this can lead to some more challenging problems. For instance, two parallel lines like this, but then I start putting in, so these two are parallel. Then I start putting in a load more parallel lines, a bit like the Kahoot yesterday. So we have another set of parallel lines here. So let's just label them differently. A little bit off screen, I'll move that up. Okay, so I have two sets of parallel lines. So you can see that this shape in here would be a parallelogram. Let's put in a third set of parallel lines, just to make things extra complicated. So I'll put 3 lines on this one to show that. And let's put this going here. Wow, look at all those parallel lines. Okay, so there's parallel lines on top of parallel lines on top of parallel lines. So we can use all this angle theory, given a few angles. Let's say this is 50 degrees in here. Up here is 60 degrees. And we need to find this angle here and this angle up here. So let's call this one A and this angle beta. Okay, if I want to find those two angles, now I have enough information with all this stuff and my knowledge of parallelograms and everything too, and number of angles in a triangle to solve this, even though it looks quite complicated, using corresponding co-interior, all that. So for any of these, perhaps I can't go straight into finding the angle I want. So maybe I can't go straight into finding angle A here. I need to think about what angles I do know. Let me just switch to a pencil. So this is the information. Given everything I write now in pencil, is going to be information I've figured out. I'm going to say that this angle up here corresponds to this angle here. You see that's a transversal, goes through these two parallel lines, and these would be the same. So I can say that this is 50 degrees. Okay, so that's one bit of information. I can also say, if you look at this parallel line and this parallel line, and kind of turn our page slightly, this angle here, this 60, is the same as this angle here, because they're corresponding. Look at that, two parallel lines. There's a transversal, they correspond. Bottom right of this, bottom right of this, that's also going to be 60. This is a very difficult example. This is a blue level example if you're struggling to follow. Now, why did I find those two? So I noticed that there's a triangle up here. And if I have the two other angles in a triangle, I can find the top angle here. So if this is 60 degrees, this will have to be 60 degrees because it's one of these X shapes, isn't it? Look at the X here. Okay. So this is 50, this is 60. Now I can find out what A is, because 50 plus 60 is 110, which means there's 70 left for A. So I'm going to put that as my first answer. A is 70 degrees. Okay, now I need to find B, or beta. Well, this line is parallel to this line. So if I can find this angle, it has to be the same as this angle, because there are parallel lines here and here. So this angle is 50 from the X shape again. Well, it's all very symmetrical looking. 50 here, which means this one corresponds to 50 there. And as we can see, 60, 50, and what make 180? That's going to be 70 as well, I think. 70, 50, yes it is. They're both 70 degrees. So hopefully you saw the little bits of theories. That's a very difficult question. A lot of parallel lines going on there. All right, so now I'm going to help you a little bit with the homeworks that we have for Monday. I'm just going to switch cameras. All right, so I'm on this camera now. Let's just look. So first of all, you had that worksheet from yesterday's class. Let's have a little look at that. So the idea is to do at least one color from this. Okay, so hopefully you're seeing now. Okay, so if you're doing green, you just have to match. Look at these dots, and these are on opposite sides of the transversal, so that's going to be alternate. They form that Z shape. So that's that first one. Now, perhaps you guys can do the rest. So just match up which one goes with which. Remember, you have those notes in your workbook. If you can't remember the notes, use the video I just did. I'll put that up later. Okay. So look at this diagram then. So let's zoom in a little bit. Which angle is vertically opposite to P? So you go find P and you find the vertically opposite. Go to your notes again. Vertically opposite makes the X shape. So OR will be vertically opposite. That's the first one there. P and OR are vertically opposite. So you just have to pick. The same for these. Question 6 then asks for to state the type of angle relationship. So that's your words: vertically opposite, alternate, corresponding, co-interior. One of those words. So I'll do maybe part E here. 70 and M, they are co-interior. They're interior and then they're on the same side. So co-interior, which means they add to 180 degrees. So the value of the pronumeral M would be, I think, 110. Because 110 plus 70 is 180. Okay, so that's green. For yellow, you'd have to draw a sketch of what the corresponding angle, so you can just throw that in from your notes and put dots in. Alternate the same. Associated shape for corresponding, so that's the letter F, if you're not sure what it is. Same question here. Question 6 is in green. Question 7 is just a little bit more tricky than question 6, but the same things apply. Just don't be panicking if you see a circle like this. It's all, just break it down, try and get it bit by bit. Perhaps you can't get K straight away, but you see that transversal? Well, K is going to be the same measure as this angle beside 120, isn't it? Blue, not going to give much help. You just have a few more trickier ones. Just in question 8 here, only find the value of the small pronumerals. So the small letter B, small letter X. You don't need, because M and S are points, like on this line. You want to describe what a line is, you need 2 letters, MS. MS would be this line, or MW if you want to make it a bit shorter. All right, so that's, and I'll let you, if you're doing blue, figure out the rest of that. Now you also have 2 MyMaths tasks, so let me just go through those to help you out. So the first MyMaths task, or whichever one you do first, it's on angle sums. So this one should be fairly straightforward. Remember, a straight line has to add to 180, and a triangle has to add to 180. A little tricky question here on the first page. That's an isosceles triangle, so 66 degrees here, and this angle here with my arrow on it is also 66. For question 2 then, it gets a little bit more complicated, but they're just triangles. So there's a possibility you're not going to be able to find X in any of them just straight away. Maybe sketch it in your book and fill in the angles you can find. So you can find this first. This angle here where my arrow is, because 36, 90, and whatever this is 100 will make 180. Once you found this one, you'll find this one, because that's a straight line here. And once you found this one, now you can find X. So these 2-mark questions. You're going to have to go through multiple steps, perhaps like the question I did on the piece of paper in the notes, or on my notes. Can't just find x straight away. You're not going to be able to find all the other angles straight away, and then x is nearly last to find. Okay, so that's one task. The other task is on these transversals. So for this one, this is very similar to the homework. So these two be co-interior, so they would have to add to 180. These two correspond, so they would have to be the same, and you can figure out the rest of them. This is the harder ones then. So same as my example on my sheet. You can't go just straight into finding these. So this is very similar to the one I did on the sheet. So you can't go straight into finding x and y in this one. You have to find all the other angles first. Just find the angles you can find first. So I'll leave you try and figure that one out as well. Perhaps we can run through it then in our answers when I see you guys on Monday. All right. Any questions on any of those? Okay, so those two MyMaths tasks are due for Monday, and that worksheet at least one color in your book for Monday. I recommend for the MyMaths tasks, sketch out the harder triangles and the harder transversals in your workbook, and then go through them bit by bit, so you can just write in the angles like I did, because it's very hard to find them straight away. All right, so you've got about half an hour left. So use that time now. I'll stay on the line.